Rockstar gang, what up, what up? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor, smash that like button on your way in, on your way out. Welcome to tonight's live stream. As always, your host, Clay, and welcome to the Rockstar Report. If you're new here in NFL content, Carolina Panthers content is your bugaboo, I'm your guy, man. I am your guy. We already got people talking about it in the chat right now. Talk about the free agency. I know it's early, man. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're 3-11. We can look at mock drafts now. We can look at, the off season, right? Might as well just go ahead and start getting that off season content right off the bat. And why not with the Christmas season coming around? Speaking of, I hope make sure we got a Q&A question tonight. I want to hear y'all's guys' top five, which we did this on the NFC South Roundtable last night. But I want to hear it from you guys. Give me your top 5, okay? Christmas movies. Top 5, no particular order. Just sound off in the comments and throw them at me, all right? And we'll get to them later. But anyways, and I gave my top 5 last night on the NFC South Roundtable. No particular order. I'll give you my top 5 real quick. The Grinch is number 1 for me. I will tell you that with Jim Carrey, number 1. But the rest of them, you can kind of throw them wherever you want. Santa Claus, obviously, with Scott Calvin. Okay. Miracle on 34th Street for classics. Also, It's a Wonderful Life is another classic that I like as well. Home Alone. And I would say number 1. Number 2 it's right up there. All right. Number 3. And then for me, I think, what did I say last night? I said those 4, and there was another one I was missing. There's another one I was missing, and I can't really think of it right now, whichever the one I was missing. Either way. God, I can't even think about it right now. Of the 5th one that I picked. But either way, those are my 4. There's so many I could go with, though. Honorable mentions: Polar Express, Friday After Next. I think it's Friday After Next, yeah, which is considered Christmas. I think Friday After Next. Christmas Vacation is another one. A Christmas Story is a good one. I mean, there's so many of them. You could make a list of 30, and you might not even be able to figure out your top 5. But either way, so all right, let's get into some. Let's get into it, and y'all. But in the meantime, give me your guys' top 5. Give me your guys' top 5 Christmas movies, no particular order. All right, let's get right into it. Give me a second. I gotta pull up my Twitter because I was planning to make a lot of posts on Twitter today, which I did, but it ended up being like a lot last minute posts. And I made a bunch of drafts, and then I sent them out there. Let me get Twitter pulled up here. Dixon said Mason Graham. Dixon's ready for Mason Graham, my guy. I feel you. I feel you on that. I definitely feel you on that for sure, bro. I feel you on Mason Graham, my guy. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream again. Do me a favor, smash that like button. Okay. I'm going back to that old screen we were doing there for a little while. Throwing this little bad boy up here. And let me swoop into this a little bit more. There we go. All right. So if y'all don't know the unfortunate news that came out, obviously this has been a season of some chaos a bit, right? We're kind of limping our way to the end of this disaster, kind of a disastrous 2024 season. It's been a bit of it's been another roller coaster ride. You got to think about it. We've been crushed with injuries, questionable depth pieces, an offense that can't stop turning the ball over, a defense that can't stop the run. This team is is an unmitigated shit show once again. And again, it also could do with this. This time, I can't blame it on David Tepper. I can't. You can point the fingers at him and say it's him, that he's gotten us to this point. Sure, we can point that finger there. But if you're talking about it right now, it's multitude of things once again this season, right? And it's a far cry from anyone hoping for just for a few months ago, and I want to dive into some of the news and updates today. This was a post about one of the news that happened today, and we're going to dissect and get into some of that mess. But now you got to think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. We're scraping at the bottom of the barrel for linebackers because yesterday they announced that they were going to place Trevin Wallace, Carlton Churliss on the injury reserve, which means that brings this team's linebacker corps already hanging by a thread down to bare bones. You got Shaq Thompson out, and he's been out since week 4 due to a torn Achilles. Wallace had a much needed rookie standout. I got to give the guy credit where credit's due. I did not like the pick for Trevin Wallace. And I was one of those that didn't understand the pick for Trevin Wallace at the time, but it obviously worked out until this final stretch of 3 games, and his shoulder injury, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, requires surgery. It does require surgery. So it's unfortunate news. Obviously, that came out on Tuesday. And not only is this an ending, not only is his season ending, but it does raise some questions about his durability moving forward. Now, again, he played 13 games. Okay. It just gives me some questions. Like, not saying this guy's injury prone by any means, but it does make me think a little bit, because he did play 13 games. He had 64 tackles on the year, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. So I think these are very impressive numbers for a rookie. But with his injury, his promising start has been abruptly, derailed to me. As for Churliss, a guy who's an undrafted rookie who stepped in to replace Wallace last Sunday against Dallas, only to suffer his own injury, and he gutted it out through the second half. But the damage was done once again because of the turf, and it's his toe, and he's now on the IR due to that. And the Panthers injury list reads like a medical journal at this point, man. And with one player after another being sidelined in what feels like a never-ending string of bad luck. Like, these constant losses to me are testing coaching staff's ability to find even a semi-capable replacements, right? And we're scrapping to the bottom of the barrel to keep this team functional at best, right? Like, the attrition here isn't just about bad luck. It's a glaring indictment of the team's lack of depth and preparation for a grueling NFL season. What up, Lomax? Appreciate you joining. Marcos Cast, what's good? Appreciate you joining. Make sure you pound that like button, guys. And now with these moves, man, you're forced to promote practice squad linebackers, like I said in this post, Jacoby Wyndham, another undrafted rookie who has yet to prove he can hack it in the NFL level. And then he joins Josie Jewell, who's really our last functional linebacker standing, who's had an amazing, ever since coming off that injury, has come back and has definitely stepped his game up. Then you got John Radigan, a special teamer who took his first ever defensive snap last week. And to put it bluntly, this linebacker unit's toast. And the domino effect of these injuries has left the defense in shambles. with players forced to step into roles they aren't prepared for, right? Leading to glaring weaknesses across the board. And every missed tackle, blown coverage, gashed run is another reminder of how depleted this team has become. And what's worse is ladies and gentlemen, is that we're trotting out this makeshift line against the Arizona Cardinals, and you got to think about running back James Conner this weekend, who I think is having a monster year. He's ranking in top 10 rushing yards, and he's eyeing a spot in that top 5. And you have to give credit where credit's due. I mean, the guy's an underrated running back, in my opinion. So if you thought the Panthers rushing defense dead last in the NFL was bad before, I mean, Connor could come out there this weekend and run through this pathetic excuse for a lineup. And I hate to be that guy, but like, man, we got to keep it real, because you put your money on Connor smashing every prop bet this week. I guarantee you. And shout out to BetUS. You know, if you want to put some prop bets in on BetUS, use my link in my bio or in the description of this live stream. You sign up for free today. You get they'll match up to 125% bonus on your first 3 bets up to $2,000, but bet responsibly. But the Panthers couldn't stop a nosebleed right now. And you guys as fans and me as well might as well embrace ourselves for maybe a historic performance by Connor, as this depleted defensive front looks unlikely to put up any kind of meaningful resistance. And if things continue on this trajectory that we're talking about here, I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers end up setting franchise record for all the wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons. Remember the old days, the 80s and 90s, a few pills, injections, magic juice. Players played all downs every game, but they may not remember that today. I mean, different time, different era, man, and different rules. So many different changes, so many different supplements now out there. I feel you, Mr. Hunky Dory. I mean, I honestly wish that we were in those type of days, but you know, you got to think about CTE now and all this, all this craziness that goes along with it. Let's get right back into it. Another one here. So again, we made some more moves today. They patched up some cracks. I would say, they signed a wide receiver, Dax Millen, and linebacker Jackson Mitchell to the practice squad Wednesday. So obviously, if those names don't inspire any confidence in you, you're not alone. These moves are less about strategic improvement and more about plugging holes to a field, a complete roster. All right, Millen I think his last name is Milne or Millen. I don't know how to pronounce that. Whatever. All I know is he's a former 7th round pick by Washington in 2021, and he's basically a special teams guy. All right, he had a league high in 40 punt returns in 2022. He averages around 7.8 yards per punt return. Okay. But it's not fixing anything in our wide receiver room and outside of Adam Thielen. And you got Xavier Legette, who's injured, which we'll talk about that here shortly. And there's doesn't seem like he's going to be playing this Sunday with a groin injury. But the team adds another player whose primary role will likely be mop-up duty on special teams rather than making a real impact on this offense. And still considering, and that's the thing, that's why I'm bringing this up today, is because it's considering the fact that the state of this roster, even marginally additions like these are being framed as moves of necessity. Right. And then you think about a guy like Mitchell, who is an undrafted rookie from UConn, who's already bounced on and off the Panthers practice squad this season. Now he's back for his 3rd time after briefly flirting with the United Football League's Memphis Showboats. by the way. And so that's where we are signing players who couldn't stick in the minor leagues, right? These two signings are band-aids on a bullet wound at best. So they're here to fill spots left by Dan Chisna and Jacob Wyndham, Wyndhamon, however you pronounce his last name. But who were obviously those guys were the ones who got promoted to the active roster. Again, right now, the way all these injuries are piling up here in Carolina, man, it's a cycle of depression, man. It's going through practice squad players being shuffled like a debt. You know, it's getting shuffled around like chairs on the Titanic, man. And this team is searching for answers. And I know there's only 3 games left in the season, but thank God there is. Thank God there's only 3 games left in the season. I'm ready to move on from this season and go ahead and, oh, you were saying how bad it was for their health. Oh, true. I mean, it is bad for their health, but I do wish that we could play it like the old days. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Antonio Friday says some Twitter pages has us taking a QB. You think we should just in case Bryce doesn't do well. I mean, here's the thing. If you're going to take a QB, don't take one in the first round. Maybe you find someone on the back end that you can work with, we've got a lot of, Drew, a guy that I was targeting was Drew Allard, but I think it's smart for him to stay back in Penn State. Maybe a Jackson Dart. Maybe you find him sitting there in the, 3rd round. I wouldn't be opposed. Antonio Friday, I wouldn't be opposed. I think the more competition you bring in, the better. And a guy that maybe could sit down and learn, maybe they bring in a bridge guy or they keep Dalton another year. I think that they definitely need to weigh their options. I don't think it's definitely out of the possibility. I don't think it's impossible that they do this. So them taking a quarterback, I think they should? I don't think it's a priority for me, especially in this draft class. But do I think that it's a bad idea? No. I mean, I would look at all your options and honestly, let's see if we get any more draft capital. If we could stack up some draft capital, why not? And maybe they can go out and get another guy, right? Maybe they can go out and get a Jackson Dart in the 3rd round or 4th or 5th round. That doesn't really matter, right? At that point, or I mean, it does. Like some guys still pan out in those rounds, and it happens. It's very rare, but maybe they find someone. I don't know, and who knows? Maybe Jack Plummer is a guy. Maybe Jack Plummer is a guy. I don't know. Possibly one less need in free agency. Now that he's healthy, can Caleb Farley live up to that 1st round potential with us? We'll see, Kendall. We'll see. I think that the question is for him to live up to that 1st round potential, he has to stay healthy, number 1. Number 2, he has to develop his game. And I think that's been a big issue. He went to a place where he didn't really he couldn't stay healthy. So he never really could develop himself. And I think that was the biggest issue for him. And that's been the biggest issue for him through his career. So we'll see. I would love that. I would love that. Because you can put him in the nickel or you can put him outside. He's more, I would feel like Caleb is, and maybe I'm wrong about this. I would feel like he's more of an outside, but I could be wrong. He might be more of a nickel. And, but yeah, can he live up to his 1st round potential? You never know. 39 people watching across all platforms. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream wherever you're watching, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Thank you guys for coming in and showing your love and support. If you're watching on YouTube, we do have a live goal tonight of I would love to get to 50 likes or more tonight. I would love to get to 50 likes or more tonight. We also have a live goal of $25 super chats, and I will do a major big fat giveaway. All right. I already have one giveaway coming up just for the Christmas season. I can't tell you about it yet. And I'm also waiting for it to get here. But once it gets here, then I will definitely announce that giveaway. So 5 super chats, it's $25 super chats. If we can, it's $25 super chat, sorry. And I'm gonna do a major giveaway, a big giveaway. Right. So in spite of the holiday season. Let's see what else we got here. What's up, Antonio? Appreciate you, man. Like, subscribe, share the stream. Appreciate that, man. I say let Bryce have a good game. Let Plummer take over for exempt his backup. Maybe create draft capital. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Mr. Hunkerdory. Let Bryce have a good game. I mean, let's see if he can bounce back against the Cardinals. And these next 3 games. I think these next 3 games are going to be crucial for Bryce Young. I mean, majorly crucial. But next year, I do think they got to bring another person in. I think they got to bring some more competition in. Let's see here. All right. We got over 28 people watching on YouTube, 15 likes. Go ahead and smash that like button. All right. Smash that like button. We got 13. We only need 13 likes to get up to 28. So 28 likes would be muchly appreciated at this point. All right. So hit that thumbs up button, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I would greatly appreciate that. See, bam, comes right up. All right. Let's get back to my profile here. Something else I wanted to talk about. Where is it? Oh. Which post did I want to talk about? Oh, this one. I want to talk about Bryce's turnovers the other day. Bryce Young does have a turnover problem. All right. And here's the thing. While I get it, a lot of defenses defense collapsed, okay, in this game. All right. But we cannot ignore the offense's role in this shitstorm. Okay. And I said Dave Canales in my last live stream on Monday is a problem. He is a problem, but he's not the only problem. And I mentioned that in that live stream, and I think a lot of people are like, "Well, Dave Canales is just a rookie head coach. You got to give him more time, and he's got a shitty roster." Blah blah blah. I get all that, okay, but there are some things that Dave Canales does that doesn't make sense to me. And it's the same thing that Evero doesn't do with the lack. It's both of them. It's the lack of adjustments. And another thing is I feel like both coaches, Evero and Canales, don't put their players in the best situations. And, the difference maker, and I get that Dave Canales is a head coach. But the differences between great coordinators and head coaches are they're able to take the personnel that they do have and still make something happen and still are able to make a team competitive. And I feel like in this last game, they didn't put Bryce in the best situation play calling wise. Ejiro Evero again continues to put this personnel or lack thereof in this complex 3-4 scheme that does not fit them. Right. So, but in this game, particularly Bryce Young, I think I think he's coming off the worst game of his young career. I think this game alone is his worst game of his young career. Because you see the 4 turnovers right there, 2 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles. He actually fumbled the ball 3 times, but we recovered it. And you're a guy, you have to hold accountability to him when you're the guy who's holding on the ball 99% of the time when it snapped to you. So it's just brutal. And the reason why I'm highlighting this today is because there's deeper issues with Bryce Young's game. And it's shaky decision making, his inability to adapt under pressure, which really he actually has done. And he's actually changed that in his game. And he's actually been able to beat blitzes. But for some reason in this game particular, the Cowboys were just able to make the right adjustments to what he was thrown into. And the mistakes weren't just bad. Most of his mistakes were catastrophic, and it killed any chance to keep us competitive in that game on Sunday. And there's a huge reality check coming that I'm gonna put all y'all on game, and I'm gonna break this all down once again. Because I think that people took a lot of me saying that it was Dave Canales' fault just because of the thumbnail and the title on Monday. But head coach Dave Canales I feels like tries to spin this mess because he chalked it up as reinforcing fundamentals. And that's the way I felt like he did on Monday. And here's the thing, Dave, but you're telling your quarterback, and this is what he's saying, you play every play is important. And then he said today, he was saying, we talk about the ball. And the first and foremost as a team, if you have the ball, you're holding it for the whole team. And that's when he said that today, I was like, sure, Dave, but you're telling your quarterback to stop fumbling isn't exactly a revolutionary coaching strategy, because that's what it's came off as when he said that today, at least to me. And I don't know if y'all watched his, if that's if that's his way of coaching. But again, Young now has 9 fumbles on the season. It's a glaring issue for a guy whose job is to protect the damn ball. And the coaching staff's attempt to mitigate these turnovers seem increasingly futile as Young struggles mirror the broader dysfunction of this offense, right? The turnover problem is more than a fluke. That's the thing that people don't realize. It's a reoccurring thing that has crushed any chance the Panthers had of staying competitive in this game. For a rookie quarterback, growing pains are expected, but this level of ineffectiveness raised serious questions about his development and the coaching staff's ability to groom him into that franchise leader that they envisioned him to be. And right now, the Panthers offense is imploding unless Young can make these drastic improvements in the next 3 games. I mean, this team is looking at a long, dark road ahead. And I see you guys, in the chat saying, bro, that's a crazy take. Like Wesley says here, tip interception and a late tough throw trying to spark something. It's funny that you talk about that tip interception, Wesley. If you go back and watch that game film, that was the wrong read to throw it to Adam Thielen when it was tipped. It should have gone to Jadavion Sanders. Even Greg Olsen said that when they broke down the game film. So it's not really that crazy when Bryce is taking the wrong reads. So, I mean, again, and Wesley, the second fumble was okay. Someone was in his lap. You still have to hold on to the football, man. My coaches always told me even when I played in high school, you got to get your beaters right. That's what he called our hands, beaters. And just let that sink in for a minute. Don't let it go over your head. Why do you think he called these beaters? I'm so you got to be able to hold on to the football, man. It doesn't matter if someone comes into your face. It doesn't matter. He has to learn how to hold on to the football. Plain and simple. And maybe I'm being harsh. I mean, you can take it as you want, but that's the reality of it. You have to be better at taking care of the football. That is your job. That is your job as a quarterback. Right? So, Another one was that he died. That one fumble when he dived head forward. He should have never dove head forward in the first place. He should have slid, but for some reason he decided to. But again, and I get it. But it was a big reality check because you got to think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. We got smacked back into reality in this game, man. We got smacked back into reality in this game. Because we've been riding this high lately before we got smacked. We were showing signs of life against top tier teams. NFL's toughest teams. And TJ, this stuck with me the other day on the NFC South roundtable because I don't want Jack Plummer in there. I still want to see what Bryce has left. I think so. That's not me. He had a bad game. Y'all talk about Jack Plummer. I don't want Jack Plummer. I don't want Jack Plummer. I want to see what Bryce does. I want to see Bryce bounce back. I want to see if he can progress these next 3 games. But I'm going to say this because we got smacked in reality. But TJ from the State of the States podcast, if you don't know who he is, he's my partner, one of my partners in crime over there on the NFC South Roundtable, brought to you by Roundtable Sports. Make sure y'all go check it out. That's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. EST. But let me tell you guys something, man. He said it, and I think he said it best. Carolina is one of those teams right now that's young and is still learning how to win football games. And they are. And I totally wholeheartedly learned how get it. But he said what stuck out to me the most is he said sometimes you have to learn how to lose football games to learn how to win those football games. And I think that's part of Dave Canales as a head coach, as a rookie head coach. And I think also as Bryce Young, but Bryce Young's lost a lot of games already. But this team is very young. So I do have to give him credit's due. Or I have to give, I agree with TJ on that from the State of States podcast. And I think I think that was a great take by him. But for a few weeks, it felt like maybe this team finally turned a corner. But that illusion came crashing down in brutal fashion, man, during week 15, right, against these Dallas Cowboys. And it was embarrassing. Like, you could talk about the defensive failures because it was from the first whistle. It was obvious that the Panthers, especially from a defensive standpoint, were a step behind the Cowboys. Like, the game plan was sloppy and the execution was even worse. And there's plenty of proof out there. You can go rewatch the clips out there. You can look no further than teams' baffling inability to contain Dallas wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. The Panthers defense apparently decided that covering opposing team's best player was optional, right, in this game. J.C. Horn, for some reason, just continues to be put on one side of the field and not the other. And or what I should say, not with the best corner of the opposing team's team, right? And J.C. Horn the other day in the locker room was like, the scheme's the scheme. I'm not going to be in the slot against CD because that's the way the scheme, basically saying that's the way the scheme is. But obviously it's not working. And then CeeDee Lamb is out there tearing us apart early and often, hauling in back-to-back catches of 20 yards, 28 yards on consecutive third downs. Then he caps it off with a 14-yard touchdown. And again, who was covering CeeDee Lamb for that touchdown? Oh, yeah, I'll tell you. It's Giro Evero's guy, Jordan Fuller. Yes, Jordan Fuller, a guy that Ejiro Evero wanted here, a safety covering one of the NFL's most explosive wideouts. What in actual hell? And it was defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero thinking. You have a lockdown corner in J.C. Horn on the roster. I don't get why you don't stick him on Lamb every damn snap. I'm telling you, that is coaching malpractice. Mike Jackson might be serviceable, but he's not the answer against a player like CeeDee Lamb. This is not rocket scientist. So I have to talk about that. He does it, Marcos. And it's so infuriating because of the lack of adjustments by Ejiro Evero. It's alarming to me, the lack of adjustments and the stubbornness in this scheme that he runs. I think the 3-4 scheme in this scheme by Evero is absolutely trash. And Evero has ruined any chances. And I'm telling you this right now. Evero right now, unless he goes somewhere else and coaches or somehow stays here and improves this defense, and that's going to be a miracle. But Ejiro Evero at this point might as well just stay in Carolina, because I can tell you right now, he's not going to get a head coaching job anywhere if someone gets fired this offseason. Ejiro Evero will be a DC either here again or he'll be a DC somewhere else, but he will not be a head coach. And you can see why he didn't get hired last year now. Again, there's a difference between good coordinators and average Joes. There's a difference between good offensive coordinators and average Joes. There's difference between good head coaches and average Joes. That is the difference when it comes to Ejiro Evero. Bryce career stats: 19 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, 4 wins, 21 losses. Not good enough in almost 2 years. He needs to play well consistently to make me believe in him. Nervish, shout out to you with the $5 donation, man. I greatly appreciate that. Shout out to you, bro. And listen, man, you're absolutely correct. And I'm actually was gonna talk about Bryce once again. But here we go. I'm gonna give this to you. I say right foot creep, walking with that heater. Look. Thank you for that $5 donation, my guy. Appreciate you, Nervish. Nervish is a giver, man. I tell you what, that guy has given a lot to my channel. So shout out to Nervish, man. Appreciate you, bro.
And his name is John C. And his name is John Cena.
I had to hit him with the John. I had to hit you with the John Cena, Nervish. I think I hit you with the John Cena all the time. Nick Gaskins, what's good, man? Appreciate you joining. I gotta fix that. I gotta fix my soundboard, man. We're going to have to rearrange that soundboard at some point, ladies and gentlemen. I got to be better about that. So, appreciate that. But yeah, and actually, let's go back to Nervish's comment, because let me tell you, man, Bryce Young, again, and I hate to say this, it was painful to watch. His regression in this game was painful to watch. I mean, if the defense, like I said, and we were just talking about the defense was a disaster, but the offense wasn't far behind it. Like the offense didn't do, and I will say this, the offense didn't do that defense any favors, especially with Bryce's 4 turnovers. Like Bryce Young, who in this game, who's shown flashes of progress, again, in the recent weeks. Again, in this game, Mike Zimmer made him look like a lost puppy out there. Mike Zimmer had the perfect game plan for Bryce Young. But I would also say that man you see on the screen right there, I don't know if y'all can see him right now or his picture over Nervish, but right there, Dave Canales, did not put Bryce in the best situation, nor had the right game plan for Bryce Young either. I have to say that. We didn't see enough rollouts. We didn't see even a smidge of an RPO play. We didn't see some play action passes. And he also ran, and this is the reason why I get on Dave Canales, is because he ran away from your 1,000-yard back just because the run wasn't working. That's where I have an issue with. And he runs away. We're supposed to be this run-heavy offense, but yet he runs away from the run game. For what reason? Because it's not working? See, that reminds me of what Steve Spurrier used to do in South Carolina. When you watch the Gamecock game against in the Steve Spurrier days, he would run away from the run game early and hope that his quarterback, whether it was Steven Garcia or Thompson, or if it was good Lord, I'm trying to think, Connor Shaw, he would run away from the run game. If Marcus Lattimore or the Ellington or Davis wasn't running the ball well, and expect, those guys to go out there and do it. And that's what Dave Canales is doing. And you can't do that in the NFL. You can't do that with a guy that you have who has over 1,000 yards and who's been a top 5 back all year. It doesn't make any sense. It takes the pressure off your quarterback, but yet you want to try to make Bryce throw 40 damn times a game. You can't do that. That's not the way this offense is built. Right. Exactly, Marcos. After the fumble at the end of the first drive, that was going very well. Our offense was done. Just felt the panic and confidence in both Dave and Bryce. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest issues, Kendall, is these guys panic. It's crazy to me. But the thing is, in this game that Bryce stood out to me is his pocket presence and decision making and confidence. Again, all went down the drain, just like Kendall was saying. And it had to leave you guys, and it left me wondering if this promising second-year quarterback was reverting, rookie and I would consider him, looking at him in week 1, week 2, look like a rookie. And did it go back to what he looked like last year? Yeah. And it wasn't and what it was to me, and it's like what Kendall alluded to, and I was going to say this, is that it was his body language that pointed out to me the most. It wasn't just the poor execution. It was his body language. You could tell Bryce Young in that Dallas Cowboys game looked beaten before the game was even halfway over. And the walking the sideline with his head down, failing to rally his team, making rookie level mistakes, like forcing a pass in a tight covered Adam Thielen, which was the wrong read when you had Jadavion Sanders wide ass open on that play. That interception was brutal, and it epitomized everything wrong with that performance. And it was dumb. It was avoidable, and it was flat, and it's flat out unacceptable. We have to start saying that this shit's unacceptable as Panthers fans. We deserve better. Right? Again, the offensive line has been playing like a top 10 unit all season. But the pass protection was not exist in this game. You allow Bryce Young to get sacked 6 times. Again, it felt like the Cowboys in that game practically were taking turns padding their stats. Like, how does the offensive line regress that badly in the span of a week? Because you watched the line crumble like wet tissue paper, and it was infuriating to watch. And it's no wonder Young started being panicked and making panic moves and erratic decisions in the pocket. But at some point, though, you have to think that this coaching staff would adjust. But again, there is no adjustments. Dave Canales and his team apparently decided that running the ball on every first down until the game was completely out of reach was a brilliant strategy. And spoiler alert, Dave Canales, it wasn't. The Cowboys defense knew exactly what was coming every single time. And the Panthers, and it didn't seem like these guys cared from a coaching standpoint. And you got to think about Canales got thoroughly outcoached, plain and simple. So to me, in this game, let alone, like you could, and I guess the question you should be asking yourselves as fans is, was this game a wake-up call or just more of the same shit? Because this game needs to serve as a wake-up call for everyone in this Panthers organization, in my opinion. Because the harsh truth is that this team isn't close to being competitive in the league's best. For every step forward that we saw they've taken in recent weeks, this performance took a giant leap backwards. It's like we took 10 steps forward, but 1,000 steps back. It highlighted the same old problems that have plagued this franchise for years: questionable coaching decisions, inconsistent quarterback play, and a lack of overall preparedness. And Canales, again, got exposed. And if they don't learn from this beatdown, there's no hope for this future. They need to take a long look and hardened look in the mirror and figure out what the hell they're doing. Because right now, in my opinion, it sure as hell isn't working. And the promise of a bright future that we're hoping for, because we're in a rebuild, is it still there? But after watching this mess, it feels like the future is a lot further away than anyone wants to admit at this point. This changed nothing to me about how I feel about Bryce. But if you want to worry about one game after 5 good games, have fun with that. It's 5 good games. Did you win those games? Did Bryce Young have career-changing numbers in those games? Did Bryce have an elite quarterback like Josh Allen-esque or Lamar Jackson-esque or even, hell, Jared Goff-esque or Baker Mayfield-esque or Patrick Mahomes-esque type numbers in those games? Did he elevate the team around him in those games? Again, you have to put everything into context, not just based off of 5 games where 2 of them we won, and the 2 we won, he didn't even throw for over 200 yards. He just was a game manager in those games. And the other ones, yeah, he threw a couple of touchdowns. He had over 200 yards, but man, again, it's just like Nervous said, man, it's about consistency, and we don't get it. Again, I just need consistency before I change my mind, before I say that Bryce is a franchise quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. And until then, he is still not my franchise quarterback. He's just my quarterback trying to be my franchise quarterback at this point. Do I want him to succeed? Yes. I'm not one of those people that don't want him to succeed. I am not one of those content creators. I am not one of those Carolina Panthers fans that doesn't like Bryce, that doesn't want him to succeed. I want him to succeed. I just need to see him not only continue to improve, but be consistent through his improvement. Continue to show me that you're developing, not regressing. Not regressing. Because, again, the Cowboys game was a disaster, and there's no sugarcoating it. There was no silver linings to cling to. But the Panthers got their asses handed to them, and they deserve every bit of it. The only question now is whether they'll learn from this humiliating loss or let it define them moving forward. And I think I need to see moving forward with these next 3 games, can we pull out some upsets? Can we show what we did against that 3-game span between the Chiefs, the Eagles, and Tampa Bay, the close losses. Can we finally get over the hump and win games? And can Bryce be consistent? And can Dave Canales be consistent? And can Evero make the right adjustments? Because we're all running out of patience, and I get that. This is one off season where this true rebuild, I feel like, has actually started. But we also have to wake the fuck up too. We also have to wake the fuck up and be a competent. Spend the bag on an elite wide receiver free agent or an elite edge. Kendall Johnson. We're going to talk more about that here shortly, man. We're going to stick around. We're going to talk about that here shortly. Appreciate you joining the live stream, brother. And shout out to you, by the way. Let me get you. We got to get you something. Let me hit you.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Damn, son, where'd you find this? We'll hit you with the thank you for that $2 donation, man. So yeah, spend the bag on an elite wide receiver and free agent or elite edge. We're going to talk about some guys here shortly that I definitely want to talk about. Let's see here. I wanted to go over one more thing and some news. And I think this was it. I think, yeah. Want to talk about some injury reports that came up. Obviously, this is the injury report, if y'all can see that, for the Carolina Panthers right here. There's an injury list wasn't, I mean, as if the injury list wasn't long enough for the Carolina Panthers, we were missing 10 players from Wednesday practice. 6 of those absences were from rest designations, as you can see. You got Ashawn Robinson, Chuba Hubbard, Adam Thielen, J.C. Horn, Josie Jewell, Xavier Woods. Clowney says got an illness/knee. You got Sam Franklin with his neck /personal. Xavier Legette with his hip. Sorry, or groin. I've heard it's also his groin. So that was obviously out. So again, Jadeveon Clowney did not participate today. Sam Franklin didn't participate. All these guys did not participate. Again, and it's unlikely Xavier Legette will suit up against Arizona due to that hip injury. But other than that, I do see most of these guys besides Xavier Legette, I see most of these guys suiting up against Arizona. What's up, Flame for Jesus? I appreciate you, man. Welcome in. Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you, my guy. Let's pull this up. We're going to go over to Spot Track. Because we need to go, if we're going to look into free agents, right? We need to look at our cap space for 2025. I want an edge personally. Well, I'm going to answer Kendall's elite, I'm going to answer Kendall's question. Nervous. I see yours down there. This is what we're looking like in 2025. So we're only going to be taking a $2 million dead cap hit. Okay. Hold on. Let me pull it up. I'm probably lagging right now because Spot Track has so many damn commercials on it. Okay. So total cap space, we'll have 34. dead cap, we're only going to take a $2 million hit. Okay. Which isn't bad. Compared to what we're taking right now, which is like 74. We seem always pick wide receivers. I'm not mad. I think Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker will be fine. I'm not too worried about it. So again, free agency, we're going to be able to, I think we can get some guys, a lot of free agents out there. Let me go to free agents by year. And then let's go to let's start off with the Philadelphia Eagles because there's one guy. Actually, you know what? Let's do all teams. But I want to go by position group. Let's start off with outside linebacker. And there's one guy I was looking at when I was looking in free agency, if I'm not mistaken. Not Khalil. Is it outside linebacker? No, or maybe he's defensive end. There it is. Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat, ladies and gentlemen. So Josh Sweat. I'm gonna pull his let's pull so Josh Sweat's a guy that I would like to look into free agency. Okay. He'll be 28 next year. He's going to be a free agent. All right. I think Josh Sweat could be a guy that they need to go and look at. Okay. I mean, you're going to spend probably $10 million on him. Right. You got Jadeveon Clowney for another year. You got DJ Wanham. DJ Wanham has shown some spark since he's came back. Right. But I think that if Wanham continues to be solid like this, he does need some help, right? We need to put some guys back there that are going to strike fear into opposing quarterbacks. Okay. Now, you can't think again, the draft is not always going to be your savior, ladies and gentlemen. The draft is just as risky as is signing guys in free agency. Okay. And here's the thing. When you go look at this guy like Josh Sweat, okay, the idea of addressing the edge in the draft sounds nice on paper, but sometimes you can't bank on that. Now, again, I'm not opposed going edge in the first round of the draft for Carolina, okay, with Abdul Carter up there. There's a lot of edge rushers, James Pierce Jr., Prince Alumalaway, or however you pronounce his last name. You got Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina. There's a lot of good edge rushers in this draft class, okay? But again, every pick you take in the draft is a risk because you don't know if they're going to pan out. Their potential is saying that they can, but we don't seriously know that. So there's a zero consensus on who the hell the top prospect is, or even if they're worth a top 5 pick most of the time. That's the problem, considering we're going to be sitting at a top 5 picks. And I think right now we're sitting at 4 or 5. So sure, if we trade up, but why waste assets gambling on someone who might be a bust? Like, I think that we should trade back, get more draft capital, in my opinion. We never do that anyways, but this team doesn't have the luxury, I think, right now in rolling the dice. And I think they need someone proven. I think Josh Sweat's a guy like that because, the Philadelphia Eagles have him. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. He's having a great year right now. He's racked up 8 sacks so far this season. To put that in perspective, Clowney and Wanum together have combined for 6.5 sacks. Now, again, Wanum did just come back recently, right? Came back in that Giants game, right? Ashawn Robinson has 4.5, right? So again, you got to think about it that way. You got a guy here who's got, 8.5 sacks on the season. So I think that a guy like who's only going to be 27 years old at the time, who's a real deal guy, he's not some washed up veteran, right? Looking for a retirement check. He's in his prime. He's putting up numbers that is huge, especially for its defense that has been pathetic. And over his career, he's amassed 43 sacks in 102 games. So, and do you know who's on the Panthers defense that's even come close to that? No one, because we haven't had anybody, really close to that since Brian Burns. I do have to say that, right? Even though I'm not a Brian Burns fan, because we can see what he's doing over there in New York with a better defensive line, right? And a defensive core. But I think Josh Sweat could be that guy. And I think he fits what even if we're doing a 3-4 scheme, I think he fits fine, right? He's a game, and that's the thing. Like Josh Sweat's one of those guys that's not a game change, a stats guy. He's a game changer, plain and simple. He's a game changer, right? Bryce got a firsthand look at Sweat brings to the table. Nearly sacked him in his own end zone, before that Dallas game. And that play led to an insane 33-yard conversion and kept a potential game-winning drive alive in that game. But think about it. This is a guy who's capable of wrecking play single-handedly. Now imagine him doing that with Wanum and the Panthers instead of against them. The best part is about Josh Sweat, though, ladies and gentlemen, is that he's established. This isn't some untested rookie or an over-the-hill veteran type of guy. He's proven he can deliver week in and week out. And he's still got plenty of gas in the tank. And the Panthers wouldn't just be adding a good player. They'd be bringing in a cornerstone for the defense. And that's the kind of move that this team desperately needs, right? If they ever want to climb out of this basement that they're in. So I like Josh Sweat as a free agent, right? So I like Josh Sweat as a free agent. T Green, what's good, man? Flame for Jesus trap going at it in the chat. Now, again, some other guys again at the defensive end. I don't know what's going to happen with Chase Young down there in New Orleans. I mean, I'm not a big Chase Young fan. Charles Omenihu could be a guy that we go after, who's a free agent. Emmanuel Ogbah, I liked him last year. Dante Fowler, I was looking at him last year. Peyton Turner, no. DeJuan Smoot, no. Jonathan Bullard, no. Really, Aziz Juliari, I don't think they signed him. Did they sign him? No, he's a free agent. That's a guy I would look into. Listen, 2020, he's on a rookie deal. He was a second round pick in 2021. That's another guy I would look into. Probably could get him for a cheap deal. I would look into getting him. Him and Josh Sweat would be my top two. Maybe Charles Omenihu out of Kansas City. It's another guy I would take a look at. Maybe Marcus Davenport as well out of Detroit. I wouldn't be opposed looking into. Because all these guys are a decent age, right? Chase Young, I mean, I wouldn't say no to Chase Young. I would definitely look into him. But he's not like Chase Young, and he's not doing very much in New Orleans for me to be like, yeah, we need to go and get him. Let me go look at Chase Young's stats for the season. Um, let me go look at his stat for the season. We'll look up Stat Moose on Chase Young. Chase Young this season, 5.5 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss, 1 forced fumble, 16 tackles, 2 passes defended in 14 games. So this season, it's not great. He's doing okay this season. So I wouldn't be opposed to looking into him. Especially when he's only getting paid $13 million. We're taking edge or Mason Graham. We will get depth in edge and free agency. Yeah, I'm looking at guys like Chase Young. I wouldn't be opposed to Josh Sweat as well. Charles Montague this season. Let's look at Charles Montague. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Oh, he's not doing shit this season. He's only played. Oh, he must be out for the year. He must be injured. He must be injured and out for the year. He's only. Yeah, he must be out for the year, as you can see. So, again, he's a questionable guy. Again, he gets you 7.5, 4.3. He's okay. He must be out for the year. So maybe Charles Montague wouldn't be a good look. Marcus Davenport, I wouldn't mind looking into him. What's his stats look like? Oh, he only played 2 games this season. Okay, he's out for the year. So to look at him and see if he be worthwhile. So far, Josh Sweat's my guy, and Chase Young is an honorable mention as well. Let's see, Celine. Let me look at Farrell here. Not bad. 3 sacks, 20 tackles, 9 solo, 11 assisted. Okay, not too bad there. We could add Farrell to that list. It'd just be a guy, Peyton Turner. What's he done this season? Yeah, nope. Play for Jesus. I feel you, man. I feel you. Let me look at what Aziz has done this season. There you go. 6 sacks, 28 total tackles, 12 solo, 6. I like Aziz. So far, my top 3 in free agency, the guys that we need to target in the defensive end category is definitely Aziz, Julieri. Definitely Josh Sweat and Chase Young. I'm also open to as well. Because they're in their prime right now, especially at their age, and Julieri is just getting better. And that's really it from the defensive end standpoint. Let's get into the inside linebacker standpoint. A guy that I wanted to look at, maybe possibly a linebacker situation. And we're talking about it's not I don't think he's an inside linebacker that I'm thinking of. Maybe I think he's an outside linebacker. Hold on. I got to find him. From Jacksonville. There's a linebacker out of Jacksonville. All right, we're going to have to use PFF. I'm going to have to look him up. For some reason, they don't say it. Maybe we're going to have to trade for this guy. Drew or Dre Greenlaw. Oh, he's for the San Francisco. Dre Greenlaw. This is a guy that I would like to look into possibly bringing in from a linebacker standpoint. Okay. We know that it's been this is obviously a guy that has here's the thing. This is a guy I'm looking at bringing in because we need some depth in the linebacker. We have Shaq Thompson out. Josie Jewell's been hurt this year. You got Trevor Wallace now out for the year, right? You got Colin Churlis done for the year now as well, right? I think Drew Greenlaw would be a guy that if we could get him here somehow, especially at the age of 27, could be a game changer, right? This guy's not just good. He's a badass. He's coming off now he had an Achilles tear he suffered in Super Bowl. And then in his first game back, he immediately racked up 8 tackles. Like he didn't miss a beat when he came back. And that's the kind of player that you are, looking for, right? Relentless, aggressive, and an absolute force in the middle of the field. Dang, PFF looks different. PFF changed it up. So Greenlaw's a guy I would look at. Again, he could be a force in the middle field. So it's no coincidence that the 49ers defense has taken a noticeable step back this year without Greenlaw anchoring their linebacker core. But he's the glue that holds it all together. And if Carolina is serious about building a defense that can actually strike fear into opposing offenses, this is the guy they need. And yeah, prying him away from San Francisco won't be easy. But that's exactly what Dan Morgan's job is to do, is make the tough moves that turn this team into a contender instead of whatever the hell they've done recently. Now, again, I will say with getting a guy like Dre Greenlaw, there are risk involved, right? Because there are some risk. Because for starters, he's coming off a major injury. Achilles tears are no joke. Not every player comes back the same. The next 3 games will be critical to see how he holds up, whether he still has that explosive edge that made him such a monster in the middle. Then there's the question of the scheme fit. The 49ers have one of the best defensive systems in the league, and it's fair to wonder if Greenlaw's dominance is just a product of their setup there, right? But come on, talent is talent. We have to give credit where credit due. Great players make an impact no matter where they go. And the Panthers can't afford to overthink this. So if Greenlaw is even close to his pre-injury form, he might be worth a gamble, right? Now, the reality is even if we went after Greenlaw and he hits the open market, the Panthers might have to pull out all the stops to land him. Why? Because right now, Carolina isn't exactly the most attractive destination for free agents. We know that. But let's face it, this team has a bottom dweller, and a players want to go where they can win. So Panthers can want to convince someone like Greenlaw to leave a Super Bowl contending team like the 49ers. They'll need to come up with some serious cash. Now, obviously, the 49ers don't look like that this year, but again, they've been Super Bowl contenders for how long now? But money talks, a clear vision for how they're going to turn this ship around. Now, this isn't going to be this isn't the time for half-measure bullshit or playing it safe this offseason. If the Panthers want to stop being in the positions that they're in, they need to take big swings. They need to sign guys like Drew Greenlaw. And that would be just that. It'll be a big, bold move that sends a message to the rest of the league that this team is finally serious about winning. I think Trevor Wallace is good. I think Josie Jewell is good as well. But I think bringing in a guy who's a game changer and Dre Greenlaw would be huge. I think it would be massive. Again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss any new content. All right. I greatly appreciate that. Okay. Gonna get into my next guy. Now, here is, I know a lot of people are saying, T. Higgins, and all these guys, but I've got a guy, I've got an outside guy that I'm looking into. Okay. I've got a different guy for the wide receiver position that I'm looking into that we could possibly look at. Now, again, I know he's older, but I think Amari Cooper would be a perfect fit here. I think Amari Cooper would be a perfect fit for the Carolina Panthers to bring in. So hold on, I'm going to pull it up. I think Amari Cooper is one of those guys that we could bring in. Okay. Here's the reason why Amari Cooper is a guy we need. Let's address the obvious first about Amari Cooper. He isn't the guy he was 5 years ago. He's not going to torch defenses every week or single-handedly change the trajectory of our offense. But you know what? And I was thinking about this. He doesn't need to. What he does bring is competence, professionalism, and the ability to play wide receiver one for a team that has no other option. And since he's left Cleveland, that dumpster fire, and seriously, I don't know how does anyone survive in that shit show. But Cooper has been quietly rebuilding his value, if you think about it, there in Buffalo. And sure, he had a dud game. He's had a dud game this season, 0 catches in a single outing. But before that, he hauled in 16 passes over 5 games with the Buffalo Bills. And that's not game-breaking production, but it's damn solid. And more importantly, it's reliable. And he's probably going to be cheaper. And let's face it, reliable is a word that hasn't been in our vocabulary when it comes to wide receivers for years besides Adam Thielen. And the 30-year-old Amari Cooper isn't going to give you 5 more elite seasons, but he can give you 1 or 2 more good ones while the Panthers are figuring their shit out. Whether that means, and that means that guys like Jalen Coker and Xavier Legette can learn from one of the best route runners in the NFL of his time. Like, Amari Cooper is a great route runner. And a lot of people don't really understand how good he is as a route runner. He is an elite level route runner through his career in the NFL. And he's a guy that can hold the fort down, right? Again, the bottom line is Cooper is not a long-term solution, but he's just a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. That's what he is. But he's not $100 million. He's not going to get paid $100 million to be a Band-Aid gaping wound. And that's what exactly the Panthers need, is a guy they don't need to pay a crap ton of money to. They don't have the luxury or time or patience. And Bryce Young is supposed to be, for everybody here, is supposed to be the future of this team. But you can't develop a young quarterback when his best option is a 33-year-old Adam Thielen running 10 yards out. Sign Cooper. Let him help and be a mentor type of guy, just like Thielen is as well. And if you have Thielen and you got Amari Cooper and you still got Jalen Coker and Xavier Legette, not only gives you depth on your wide receiver, but you got Amari Cooper, who's a great route runner of his time that can help Leggett and help Coker from a mentorship standpoint. And then you also get someone for Bryce who knows what the hell he's doing there. And while you're at it, start treating the wide receiver position like the cornerstone is supposed to be. And then otherwise, it's going to be another year of mediocrity for a team that can't seem to get out of its own way. I like the move for Amari Cooper because you know what you're going to get out of him. So I will go with Amari Cooper. So those are just a few guys from that standpoint. Now we could go over a shit ton of free agents, but those are just a couple right there. Those are just a couple. I know we went over a couple edge rushers there. But I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow night, guys. I will be live again. Well, we're going to do a mock draft breakdown. And then, of course, I got a special guest coming on Friday evening to do a preview and prediction live stream, maybe a video with an Arizona Cardinals creator. So, but I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Again, do me a favor, smash that like button, everyone. Again, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Other than that, guys, appreciate every one of y'all. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Doesn't mean, but I will be live tomorrow night, and I'll see you later. Peace. Have a good evening.